Hey, wonderful to see you again on the channel. Today I'm James, and I'm here to discuss a sensitive topic: the indicators that a woman may be cheating. If a woman cheats, she might say things that show her guilt, anxiety, or an attempt to keep you from realizing what she's doing. These signs can be difficult to spot at first, but once you know what to look for, they can give you a lot of clues. You'll have a better idea of what's going on if you understand these signs. As Stoicism teaches us, we can't always control what other people do, but we can control how we react to situations by being calm, aware, and clear. Here are 9 potential signs that a woman might be cheating, so you can identify them and respond appropriately. Before we begin, if you're prepared to transform your approach to relationships by harnessing the power of Stoicism, please take a moment to subscribe. Each video is a step toward mastering your mind and making stronger, more meaningful connections. First of all, you're being overly paranoid, right? One of the first things she might say is, if you start questioning her behavior, you're being paranoid. This common response serves as a defense mechanism, shifting the focus from her to you, causing you to question your own instincts, feelings, and self-doubt. We've all experienced a situation where something doesn't feel right, yet attempting to discuss it often elicits a defensive response. Here's the thing. If you've noticed some strange behavior or inconsistencies in what she's saying, and she quickly responds, "You're paranoid," or "You're imagining things," that's more than just a random response. It's a huge red flag. Imagine that you've been paying attention to the little things. Maybe she's been staying out late and not answering texts, or her stories don't quite add up. But when you bring them up, she brushes them off with the phrase, "You're being paranoid." Part 1. You're being paranoid. You've noticed her acting a bit distant, so you ask her why she's staying at work so late. She snaps back, "You're always questioning me. Why can't you just trust me?" All of a sudden, people perceive you as the problem rather than the situation, making you feel uncomfortable about your questions. She's trying to change the subject and avoid talking about the real problem. Now is the time when Stoicism can really help. Stoics taught us not to let our feelings control how we react when something doesn't feel right. When something doesn't feel right, don't let anger or fear cloud your judgment. Instead, consider stepping back and try to stay grounded. Don't let her turn your doubts into self-doubt. Pay attention to the facts and remember that your feelings are valid. If you see things that don't make sense, trust your gut and question them, even if it makes you feel bad. Though we can't change what she does, Stoics say we can change how we react. Don't let her accusations make you doubt your own clarity and perception. This isn't about hastily drawing conclusions. It's about maintaining composure and recognizing when something isn't quite right. So the next time someone tells you that you're being paranoid, remember that it's not always about you. Stay calm. Pay attention to both the spoken and unspoken words, and reassess the situation using the calm wisdom that the Stoics would urge us to adopt. Number 2. We're just friends. We've all experienced the situation where you notice your significant other spending excessive time with someone, perhaps a new coworker or an old friend, and something just doesn't feel right. You try to bring it up, and all you hear is, "Oh, we're just friends." That one sentence may seem to reassure you, but deep down, you sense a problem. Let me paint you a picture. You've been noticing that she's been texting someone all the time. At first, you don't think much of it, but then it starts to feel a little excessive. Late-night texts, constant use of her phone during times you used to share. So you finally ask her about it. Her answer? "Oh, it's just a friend from work, nothing to worry about," is her response. But when you say that, she becomes defensive or worse, tries to shut you down with an attitude. Part 2. Her reaction of "we're just friends" is a little off. This is where things start to get tricky. She's playing down the relationship to make it sound harmless and innocent, almost like you're overreacting. However, it's important to note that if she's spending a significant amount of time with this friend without providing a valid reason, or even worse, if she's attempting to conceal or maintain secrecy about it, this could be a warning sign. You're not asking for details because you want to be controlling. You're asking because you care and because things don't seem right. And when you're met with defensiveness, that's when the alarm bells should start going off. It's important to remember that in relationships, transparency and trust are the foundation. If she's acting secretive or dismissive about this friendship, it might be her way of keeping things hidden from you. And honestly, no one likes feeling like they're being kept in the dark, especially when it involves someone else. Now let's bring in a little Stoic wisdom here. The Stoics believed in maintaining control over our own emotions and responses, rather than letting others dictate how we feel. So if you find yourself feeling uneasy about this friendship, don't ignore those feelings just because you're being told to calm down. The Stoics taught us to examine situations from a place of logic and reason, not just our initial emotional reaction. It's okay to trust your instincts, but do so calmly. Don't let anger or fear cloud your judgment. Take a step back and assess the situation with clarity. Think of it this way. Imagine you're facing a storm, and you can either let the wind blow you around, or you can stand firm, grounded in your own understanding. That's what Stoicism teaches us, to stay firm and centered, no matter how much chaos is going on around us. So when you hear we're just friends, don't rush to conclusions, but also don't ignore your gut feelings. Take the time to reflect and calmly observe what's actually happening. Maintain your composure, as the Stoics would advise, and avoid using defensive language. Cloud your clarity. In the end, it's all about finding balance. Trust your instincts, but approach the situation with wisdom and understanding, and remember, a healthy relationship thrives on trust, openness, and respect, not on secrecy and defensiveness. Number 3. I need part 3. I need space. Okay, let's delve into another common phrase that may raise serious concerns. I need space. I understand that this statement may seem straightforward, even reasonable, but when it unexpectedly arises, especially after months of a stable, loving relationship with no major arguments or significant issues, it can be jarring. As life progresses and you relish each other's companionship, she abruptly declares, "I think we need space to figure things out," leaving you perplexed. What happened? What changed unexpectedly? You begin to question the source of all this uncertainty. At times, her need for space may not stem from a need for personal space, but rather from a desire to make room for someone else. If she's withdrawing emotionally, growing distant, or suddenly seeking more alone time, it could be a strategy to manage two relationships without exposing herself to the burden of guilt while pursuing another relationship. It's a smooth, subtle shift, like a slow withdrawal from the emotional bond you two shared. And trust me, it's not just about her needing time to figure things out. There's often more going on behind the scenes. Let's take a real-life example to bring this to life. Imagine you're having a great evening, everything's normal. You two are watching a show, talking, laughing, and then out of nowhere she says, "I think we need some space. I need to figure out what I want you to pause." There's a voice in your head that asks, "Wasn't everything fine just a few hours ago? What's really going on here?" This sudden change in behavior can be a huge red flag if there hasn't been a big problem between you two yet. If she's pulling away, it could mean she's already emotionally involved with someone else. I want you to really think about this. Sometimes, especially in long-term relationships, space can be good. It can help both people think, recharge, or just grow as people. But when that space appears out of the blue, especially if it's being used as an excuse to make part 4, "You deserve better than me." It's crucial to observe her distance without providing a valid reason. It appears as though she's evading an issue she's unwilling to confront. Now is the time to add some Stoic advice. Stoics taught us that our emotions are normal, but they shouldn't control us. They stressed the importance of staying calm and clear, even when things don't seem clear. So, when something like this happens, it's important not to panic or react without thinking. Instead of letting emotions like anger or confusion take over, consider stepping back and think about what's really going on. The Stoics believed that controlling our reactions made us stronger. When someone says, "I need space," we have to practice self-control and not react out of fear. Instead, we approach the situation with calmness and clarity. The Stoics said, "Don't let external events disturb your inner peace." Whether she needs space for the right reasons or because she's busy with something else, your response should stay grounded. Ask yourself the best way to handle this with wisdom. Sometimes, giving space can be the right thing to do for you too. It gives you time to reflect, gather your thoughts, and make decisions from a place of clear understanding instead of emotional chaos. At the end of the day, space should never be a way to avoid the truth. Being honest is important for positive relationships, and if you feel like something is changing that shouldn't, trust your gut. Spend some time reflecting on the situation, but seek assistance from someone who remains unaffected by their emotions and possesses the same clarity and strength as the Stoics. If you hear someone say, "I need space," and it seems inappropriate or abrupt, don't dismiss it. Instead, think about it, keep your inner peace, and approach the situation with the calm knowledge of a Stoic. Your clarity might just help you get through these tough times. Waters number 4. You deserve better than I do, okay? Now, let's discuss another statement that may raise your suspicions. You deserve better than me. Have you ever heard this phrase? The question, "Why don't you trust me?" could appear unexpectedly during a conversation or while discussing your future plans with someone. When someone consistently makes promises and then abruptly abandons them, it can be shocking and cause you to pause and reflect on the situation. Let's dissect it. Individuals often use this phrase when they experience deep-seated guilt. It's like a veiled confession that's wrapped up in self-doubt. When a woman tells you, "You deserve better than this," it might sound like she's being hard on herself or insecure, and sometimes that's true, but most of the time it's an emotional defense mechanism, a way of communicating guilt without actually saying, "I did something wrong." Imagine you're having a deep, meaningful conversation about your relationship. Things seem pretty good, right? No big problems, no big fights. Just the normal ebb and flow of life. Then, out of the blue, she says, "I don't know if I'm decent enough for you. You deserve better than me." What do you do with that? It feels off, doesn't it? There wasn't any build-up to it. This is an interesting turn of events because it's often her way of letting you know that something is wrong, something she might not be ready to admit yet. If she's been hiding her cheating, this phrase can be her way of admitting guilt without directly admitting what she's done. It's like she knows she's been betraying your trust but doesn't have the courage to face it head-on, so instead of telling you what she's done, she gives you this vague emotional line. Let me draw a picture for you. As you are discussing your future plans together, such as purchasing a house, traveling, or growing older together, she abruptly says, "I don't think I'm good enough. You deserve someone better." You can feel the air shift. The words don't match the tone of the conversation. It's like she's emotionally pulling away, hinting that something deeper is going on but doesn't want to say it outright. It can be confusing, but here's the thing. When guilt is present, people often act in strange ways when they're under a lot of stress. Rather than speaking the truth, she may use words like these to mentally distance herself. It appears as though she is attempting to mitigate the impact on both of you before disclosing the truth. Let's hear some wise stoicism. Part 6. You're always busy. The Stoics taught us that life is challenging and that we can't always control what other people do. What we can control, though, is how we react when someone says something awkward that throws us off. It's important to follow the Stoic virtues of clarity and self-control. Rather than succumbing to our emotions or hastily drawing conclusions, we can approach the situation with a calm and reasoned approach. The Stoics believed that we should accept the things we can't change with grace and wisdom. Therefore, if someone says something like, "You deserve better than me," and it causes you to reflect, resist the urge to let your confusion or anger overwhelm you. Instead, try to stop, reflect, and ask yourself, what is the best thing I need to understand about this moment I see? Stoicism teaches us to keep our inner peace. Even in the most emotional situations, we should stay calm to think clearly and make rational decisions. We should also be able to tell if her comment is a sign of guilt or a moment of self-doubt. Things will turn out the way you react. This doesn't mean ignoring the red flags or not doing anything about it. If she's feeling guilty, it's not about absolving her. It's about creating space for a calm, honest conversation. When we approach these moments with emotional clarity, we give ourselves the chance to understand the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be. So if you hear the words, "You deserve better than me," don't take them personally. Pay close attention and don't react out of anger or confusion. Instead, take a moment to think about it. This phrase could mean that something deeper is going on below the surface. Approach it with the composure of a Stoic, utilizing patience, clarity, and the understanding of how to proceed. 5. Why don't you trust me? Oh, this time, why don't you trust me? That sentence can make your heart skip a beat, can't it? You ask an effortless question. When you ask her a simple question, such as why she's been acting distant or why her behavior has changed, she responds with, "Why don't you trust me?" Instead of providing an explanation, being on trial for asking her questions feels like a blow to the gut. This answer can feel Part 7. It's not what it seems, abusing power. She's not addressing your concerns. Instead, she's putting the blame on you for being suspicious. This is a way for her to get you to feel negative about doubting her. By accusing you of mistrust, she makes you question your own feelings. Suddenly, you find yourself uncertain about who is at fault, whether it's you or her. But let's take a moment to think about it. It's normal to be suspicious of someone's behavior and to ask questions. However, if the individual you're questioning displays defensive behavior instead of providing an explanation, it should raise some concerns. For example, if you ask her why she's been acting distant lately, and she responds by saying, "Why don't you trust me?" This is a sign that she is attempting to conceal something and is avoiding confronting your genuine concerns, which is why she makes you feel as though you are exaggerating. This is related to Stoicism. The Stoics taught us how important it is to stay in charge of our own thoughts and actions, no matter how other people act. In this situation, it's important to stay calm and centered instead of reacting emotionally or getting defensive. We can use the Stoic principles to handle the situation with clarity and calmness. The way Stoics would act could look like this. You've noticed something isn't right, and instead of letting her question your judgment or make you feel guilty, you are stepping back. You know that her attempt to shift the blame is just a distraction from the real problem. You don't have to get into an emotional back and forth. Instead, you can calmly voice your concerns and invite an open conversation without feeling manipulated. Remember that a Stoic doesn't let outside events upset their inner peace. You can't control how she reacts, but you can control how you respond. Staying grounded not only prevents you from succumbing to emotions, but also safeguards your identity and clarity. So the next time someone says, "Why don't you trust me?" don't let it throw you off track. Pause, think, and take a moment to see how you're feeling. Are your worries real? When you respond, are you angry or seeking the truth? By staying calm, you give yourself time to react wisely, not just emotionally. Let's look before we jump. Part 8. You're not seeing things. If you think this is helpful, click the like button. This helps YouTube share it with more guys who need it, which keeps the videos coming. It's simple and doesn't cost anything. It really does make a difference. Thanks. Let's get back to it. Number 6. You're always busy. Have you ever been hit with the "you're always busy" line? It's one of those comments that can leave you feeling guilty, almost like you're being accused of neglecting her. If you've noticed something's off in the relationship, and when you ask, she responds with, "You've been so busy lately, I barely see you anymore," it's possible she's trying to shift the blame onto you. This is a classic deflection technique when things aren't going well between you two. Especially if she's been acting distant or secretive, she might try to turn the spotlight on your actions, instead of addressing her own. She's not taking responsibility for what's happening. Instead, she's blaming your work, your schedule, or your life in general. For example, if you've been working long hours or dealing with a busy period in your life, it's natural that she might feel neglected. But if this becomes her excuse for her own behavior, it's a clear sign that she's trying to justify what she's doing. It's like she's telling you, "I did this because you didn't give me enough attention." Now let's tie this to Stoicism. Stoics believed that we can't always change outside circumstances, but we can always change how we react to them. If she's using your business as an excuse for her actions, it's important not to feel guilty or defensive. Instead, stay calm and look at the situation objectively. A Stoic would do this without getting upset or overreacting emotionally. Take a moment to think about your actions and whether your busy schedule is affecting the relationship. Then, calmly express your feelings and invite an open conversation. Stay true to yourself and don't let her use the situation to avoid taking responsibility. Remember that life will always give us problems, whether they are with our work, our personal goals, or something else. What makes us unique is how we deal with those problems. Don't let shame or wrong blame sway you. No matter what other people say, cloud your judgment and stay on your road and true to your values. 7th, it's not as simple as it appears. Everyone has experienced a situation they didn't like when they walked in on it. Perhaps you caught her texting someone or enjoying a private moment. 9. I don't know what I want anymore. When you discuss her with another guy, she often responds with the typical, "It's not what it looks like" reaction. If you've heard this before, you know that's a negative sign. She naturally tries to play down everything to avoid your worries and make you feel like you're exaggerating. Let's give it a moment of thought. If you see her acting suspicious or notice something that doesn't seem right, and her first response is, "It's not what it seems like," it's likely that she's trying to avoid facing the truth. It's a simple way to avoid having a real conversation about what's going on. For example, if you catch her talking to another guy in private and she quickly says, "We're just talking," but she can't explain why it's so secretive, it's more likely that she's trying to hide something she doesn't want you to know. Stoics taught us not to let our emotions or other things get in the way of our thinking. You shouldn't let those words confuse or distract you. Instead, take a deep breath and realize that this is a moment of uncertainty that you can't control right now. What you can control is how you react. By staying calm and collected, you give yourself time to think more clearly about what's going on. Don't let her brush it off with a vague excuse. Ask her the right questions, and if she doesn't want to answer, don't let that bother you. It was important for the Stoics to focus on being able to react with integrity instead of letting someone else's actions control your feelings. In times like these, staying true to yourself and your sense of strength is the true test of strength. This is a timeless statement that can profoundly impact you. You mention something bothering you or doesn't seem right. You ask her why she's been distant or why things have changed, and she quickly replies, "You're imagining things now." It may seem harmless at first, but this is a form of gaslighting, a trick meant to make you question your own feelings and truth. This is where things get tricky. She doesn't just brush off your worries, she makes you question your own understanding of what's been going on. It's as if she's telling you that you're crazy for even thinking something is wrong. For example, you notice that she's been texting late at night, or that her mood has changed, and when you ask her about it, she says, "There's nothing wrong, you're just imagining things." If she dismisses your feelings as figments of your imagination each time you discuss them, it raises serious concerns from a Stoic perspective. This is a time to ground yourself. Stoics believe that outside events, like someone denying your reality, are out of your control. What you can control is how you react. Rather than allowing her words to deeply affect you, step back and reflect on your own emotions and observations. We learned from the Stoics to keep our clarity and not let other people's misunderstanding or dishonesty throw us off track. Stay true to what you think. Trust your own judgment and stay true to your sense of truth. Trust yourself to follow through and find the truth if something doesn't feel right. I'm uncertain about my desires now. Do you recognize the sensation you experience when something doesn't seem right? Things may have seemed fine between you two. Everything seemed normal, but then something happened. There's a phrase that can throw you off. "I don't know what I want anymore." It seems as though she is halting the relationship abruptly and questioning everything. If you've noticed her emotionally pulling away, this could be her way of distancing herself to justify her actions, especially if she's already seeing someone else. Initially, it may appear as a cry for assistance or uncertainty, but in reality, it typically indicates that she has already made a decision about something or someone else. For example, if she's been distant or less affectionate and then says, "I don't know if I want to be in this relationship anymore," it's not just about her not knowing what she wants. It's a sign she might be emotionally checking out. This can be challenging to understand, but take a step back and think about it. Stoicism teaches us that we can't change how other people feel or act, but we can change how we respond to those things. While it's easy to become engrossed in her confusion, stay focused on your immediate needs. Stay true to your values and don't let her emotional turmoil make you doubt yourself. The Stoics believed that our true strength lies in having a clear mind, not in letting other people's confusion affect us. Therefore, when she expresses uncertainty about her desires, remain grounded in your own discernment and proceed confidently. Finally, ending, these small words and actions can help you determine if a woman is cheating on you. Cheating is never straightforward to deal with, but noticing these signs can help you handle the situation with more clarity and confidence. Remember that trust and communication are the building blocks of any healthy relationship. If any of these are happening, have a serious talk. If you liked this video, please subscribe for more videos about relationships and psychology. Also, please like, share, and leave a comment if you've seen any of these things happen in real life. Remember to stay strong and watch out. See you in the next film.